If you're saving to buy your first home, by now you've definitely heard of the First Home Savings Account as well as the RRSP Home Buyers Plan. And the most common question that I get is which one should you use first? First of all, hey everyone, if you're new here, my name is Alex, former financial advisor turned real estate professional. Today, I'll be breaking down everything about the FHSA as well as the home buyers plan inside of the RRSP, the real differences between the two, and which one actually gives you the most bang for your buck. As always, if you like this type of content, then hit the like and subscribe button. It truly helps the channel grow, but it would also allow for more Canadians to be able to find and benefit from videos like this. It would also allow me to continue making these types of videos. With that being said, let's jump right into the video and let's start with what is the FHSA and how does it work? The FHSA stands for First Home Savings Account. It's Canada's newest savings tool. It was released in April 2023 and it was designed specifically to help first-time homebuyers save for a down payment completely tax-free. It's free to open. You can do this at your bank or online as long as you're eligible. And in order to be eligible, you must be between 18 to 71 years old. You must be a resident of Canada, and neither you nor your spouse can have owned a home that you lived in as your principal residence in this year or the previous 4 calendar years. So here's how the account works. You can contribute up to $8,000 per year, up to a lifetime maximum of $40,000. That amount is per person. So if you're a couple, you can combine that $40,000 each to attain $80,000 for a down payment for your first home together. And all of these amounts are before factoring in investment growth. So this $80,000 or $40,000 each can actually be much more than that. Now, here's something most people actually don't know about or they just completely miss. You can contribute for last year's amount as long as the account was open during that year. That means that in theory, as long as the account was open last year and you didn't contribute, you could put $16,000 in this year. But it's very important to know that your account must have been open during that year in order to carry forward the balance. So the best thing to do is obviously just to go open your account, whether or not you are ready to contribute, because the year that you are ready to contribute, well, if the account was open in the previous year, you're now going to be able to put in $16,000 for your first year. FHSA contributions are fully tax deductible, just like our RRSP contributions, meaning that they will lower your taxable income. So for example, if you make $80,000 a year and you contribute $8,000, then you're only taxed as if you made $72,000. So if you live in Ontario and you're a salaried employee, your tax refund would be about $2,522. That's assuming your employer is taking off the right amount for your taxes. Now, if you're self-employed, you would just simply owe $2,522 less when you file your taxes. In either scenario, this is tax-free money in the form of a tax break that you can use to then reinvest to compound even further. Now, your investments inside the FHSA grow completely tax-free, meaning that at the point of withdrawal, no matter how much you've lost or made, there are no taxes whatsoever. The only thing you must keep in mind is that you have 15 years from opening the account to either withdraw from the account to buy your first home, or you must transfer it to your RRSP, because after 15 years, the account must be closed. It's basically like the government saying, here's a massive tax-free window, but it won't stay open forever. So now let's talk about the RRSP and the home buyers plan. So the RRSP stands for Registered Retirement Savings Plan, and the rules for contribution room are simple. Your contribution room is the lesser of 18% of your previous year's earned income, or up to the CRA maximum, which for 2026 is $33,810. So for example, if you made $80,000 last year, well, 18% of $80,000 is $14,400 of available contribution room for the following year. Now, our RRSP contribution room accumulates indefinitely. So even if you've never contributed to the RRSP, it just keeps piling up until you do plan on using it. And that is one of the major differences between the RRSP and the FHSA. The FHSA, you do have a lifetime limit. Now, in the home buyers plan, you can withdraw up to $60,000 from your RRSP to buy your first home. And once again, if you are a couple both of you could do this to get up to $120,000. But here's the catch. You have to pay that money back over 15 years, starting the second year after the withdrawal was made, or else it will count as a withdrawal and added to your taxable income. So unlike in the FHSA, the home buyers plan is basically just an interest-free loan that you're making to yourself and have to pay it back over 15 years. However, the upside in the RRSP is that you have a lot more options. It's not just about the home buyers plan. Even after you purchase your first home, you can continue contributing to the account for long-term or retirement savings and more tax savings, unlike in the FHSA. Once you buy, that's it. You have to become a first-time buyer as per the definition showed earlier in the video. So here's where it gets really interesting. You can use both the FHSA and the RRSP home buyers plan together. So let's say you contribute $8,000 to the FHSA and then another $8,000 to the RRSP. That is a $16,000 tax deduction for that year. Then when it's time to buy, you could in theory pull $40,000 plus all the growth from the FHSA and up to $60,000 from your RRSP through the home buyers plan. That is $100,000 tax-free towards your first home. Even if your plans change and you don't buy a house with the funds accumulated in your FHSA, you can simply transfer all that amount to your RRSP completely tax-free without losing a dime on your growth. And that's what makes the FHSA the ultimate safety net you basically cannot lose unless you make some really horrible investment decisions. So now is actually a great time to talk about the investment options that you have for both accounts. So how you invest in these accounts depends entirely on your time horizon and whether or not you are willing to absorb risk with your investments. If you're buying in a year or less, avoid risk at all costs. Stick to cash or GICs. You don't want to risk losing your down payment just before you plan on buying. Now, 3 to 5 years out, well, this depends on your risk tolerance. Look, it's going to come down to whether or not you are willing to absorb risk. A balanced ETF might make sense here, but there's really no one size fits all. And if it's 5 or more years away, look, it's an absolute no-brainer. You should be invested for growth. Look for broad market ETFs or index funds with low fees instead of just throwing it into a mutual fund that are going to charge you 2 to 2.5%. That would be my recommendation. Now, here's a quick recap of the FHSA and the RRSP home buyers plan side by side. So tax deduction, yes to both. All contributions lower your taxes payable. Tax-free growth, FHSA, yes. RRSP, well, it's actually tax deferred, meaning that you don't pay taxes on your growth inside the account immediately, but remember, your withdrawals are taxed as income, which means you'll eventually pay taxes on the growth, just not until you withdraw. Can you contribute for past years? FHSA, yes, but only the previous year as long as the account was open. And RRSP, yes, there's no questions here. All unused contribution room will carry forward indefinitely. And repayment required, this is the big one. FHSA, no. And home buyers plan, yes. And that makes a huge difference. So now comes the big question. Which one should you use first? If you only had enough to save into one of these two accounts to get started, you should use the FHSA first, and it's pretty evident after watching the video and looking at all the facts. Here's why. The FHSA has one purpose and one purpose only, and it's to allow you to save to buy your first home. It's pure targeted tax efficiency aimed right for first-time buyers. The RRSP, on the other hand, has many purposes. Yes, it's got the home buyers plan. It also has the lifelong learning plan, but it's also mainly there to help you save for retirement and capitalize on tax savings and benefit from long-term growth. And the main thing here is to understand that its contribution room never expires. FHSA contribution, on the other hand, only begins the moment you open the account, and you can only contribute for last year's limit if you had not used it and the account was open during that year. This means that if you delay opening it, you are losing on potential contribution room. So if you only had $8,000 to save per year, it would be a really stupid thing to prioritize the RRSP over the FHSA, because the FHSA, once you buy your house, you lose access to potentially benefiting from that account, whereas the RRSP, you still have it for other purposes and you can still contribute, you can still get those tax savings, you can still use it for long-term growth. So even if you like the idea that the RRSP actually forces you to pay it back over 15 years, you can still do that. With the FHSA, you can still tell yourself that you're going to do it. And guess what? If you withdraw from the FHSA, well, you got the tax advantage already. And you told yourself that you're going to reimburse that amount in your RRSP over a set number of years. You're going to now receive a second tax deduction. Whereas if you're using the RRSP and you go to reimburse it over 15 years, you're not getting a second tax deduction. You're just reimbursing the loan that you made to yourself. So really the smart thing to do is to open your FHSA, start there. If you've got more money left over, then you can look at the RRSP, because if you combine both of them, that's the ultimate strategy. But in my opinion, the RRSP should really be saved for long-term growth and for reducing your taxes in higher income years. So to wrap it all up, start with the FHSA, because once you buy a house, you can't go back in time and benefit from those tax deductions. Whereas if you do buy a house, you can still contribute and benefit from the RRSP's advantages. If you found this video helpful, then don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and go check out my FHSA Explained Simply video, where I talk in the same simple explanatory tone as in this video. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.